My project is about fostering relationships for a purpose. It's the effects of collaboration on attitude towards inclusion. Alright, why did I do this project? Well, based on my experiences in school, I felt that there's not really strong relationships between special education teachers and regular education teachers. So these relationships can foster communication, understanding, and positive school culture. The only way we really communicate with each other is by tip sheets, or if there's behavior concerns or missing assignments. If there was relationships with the educators towards inclusion improve, or would it not? So would regular educators want more students with disabilities in their classroom? So in summary, this study was developed to analyze a general education teacher's progressive attitude towards inclusion during ongoing collaboration with a special education teacher. So there's been multiple improvements to improve teacher attitudes, but many general education teachers don't change because I really don't think they're prepared, they don't know what they're doing, so they have a negative attitude towards students with disabilities in their classroom. So it examined her attitude towards inclusion while given the opportunity to collaborate with me, the special education teacher. There was ongoing face-to-face meetings to enhance the general education's opportunity to learn, to ask questions, to build a relationship with the special educator. Next slide, please. So my lit review, how I found articles was in the library, and then I chatted with the librarian to get different sites, and then narrowing my search, and then my friend is also writing her dissertation, so she recommended certain articles and authors for me. Next slide, please. So, is inclusion really working? So is more students in special educating getting into general education classes? So even though there's access, students are getting into these classes, they're still spending a large amount of time outside general education classrooms. This causes them to have difficulty socializing with peers and then building friendships or relationships. This one study by Downing and Peckham Hardin found that most teachers within the study felt that some students with disabilities were more successful than others within inclusion. Next slide. So teacher preparation. So Singh 2002 investigated that the preparation of regular educators in educating students with disabilities. Within the study, 90% of the regular educators did not know anything about students with physical disabilities and healthcare needs. Only 66% of the teachers knew how to make adaptations to accommodate students with disabilities. But most shocking of all, regular education teachers only received 2 hours of in-service that related to inclusion of students with disabilities. Collaboration. So Downing and Peckham Hardin reported that within their study that an essential component of a successful education program for students with disabilities is open communication, both with individuals working together as a team. So one of the teachers I thought was a really good quote said, "That's the most exciting part of collaboration with your colleagues. It's really thrilling to sit in a planning meeting and present an idea and have one of your colleagues questions different parts of the idea until it's clear what your goals are for the students. And then someone will just come in and add a variable to the lesson, and that makes the proposed lesson even richer." So teachers are saying that they want to collaborate and talk to other teachers. So if preparation isn't valued by implementation of inclusion, teachers will continue to have a negative view of inclusion. What teachers believe about inclusion is important because the extent of these beliefs can affect classroom practices. So what they believe affects how they teach. Okay? When teachers have a positive attitude towards students with disabilities, there's a considerable impact on their learning experience. So there was one story that teachers were disappointed with the quality of assistance and support from special educators. So I read a couple articles, and general ed teachers were really upset with special education teachers because they weren't collaborating with them, they weren't giving them advice or anything like that. So they basically said that two teachers compared to the special education department at their school. It was like a secret branch of the government. So they expressed the fact that they don't have access to information about their students in special education. Next slide. So negative attitudes. I really like this quote. They stated that inclusion is like a wedding in which we, as special educators, have forgotten to invite the bride. That's the regular educators. So we're forgetting to include regular educators in our students' education. Next slide. So the person in the study is Miss W. She was chosen to be involved because she was in direct contact with students with multiple disabilities and severe disabilities and was available and willing to meet with me on a regular basis. So during the study, she taught parenting and vocational childcare classes. She's taught a total of 32 years, and 25 of those years were taught at this high school. So initially, we had an interview, and I wanted to know about her perception, knowledge, and attitude towards inclusion. And I developed this open-ended question interview, and it was conducted as a discussion between myself and Miss W. Miss W was able to ask questions to clarify meaning if she didn't understand what they meant. Next slide. So these are some samples of the interview questions. I already went through them in my class, but some of them are like, do you think you have the adequate materials to teach students? Do you feel like you're prepared? And other things like that. Next slide. So ongoing face-to-face meetings. So this is how we began collaborating, is we met face-to-face. So the data collected from the interview influenced the type of topics and questions that I addressed throughout the study. I wanted to be supported and continually collaborate with her, and so this could eventually create an ongoing understanding and relationship between both of us. So we met every 2 weeks. It was never planned out. We planned out the next meeting at the end of the next meeting. So hot topics that I had that we could talk about at each meeting that she'd come prepared with a question about was motivation and reinforcement, accommodations, grading, adapting lessons, discipline, rules, social skills, resources available. Next slide. So post-meeting reflection form. So at the end of each meeting, she filled out a form that she reflected on developing focus within the study and ongoing issues and questions that needed to be addressed. Questions were addressed by email, so she could email me at any time that she wanted, and then the following concepts were addressed within each meeting. So if we had questions from the previous reflection form, desired strategies addressed during the initial interview, questions and discussions related to the hot topic that week, any other questions and comments that she had, and from myself and from her. So post-meeting form questions were, see, these are some of the questions that are on the form. So what did you learn from this discussion? Will you apply any new strategies and concepts? How do you feel after having this discussion? Do you have any more questions after this discussion that can be addressed at the next meeting? And then we always wrote the date of the meeting, and then I always told her what the topic for the next meeting was so she could prepare a question. So analyzing attitude. So the information collected within the study was used to basically analyze her attitude towards inclusion. So the things that I used to analyze her attitudes were interview answers, post-meeting reflection forms, memos, so like writing down during the meetings on a Google Doc, and then emails exchanged between myself and Mrs. W. So some questions for you. So do you think, what are some main topics that you think that you and myself and Miss W could talk about that are issues going on in the classroom right now? Do you guys have any ideas?
Ways to teach kids in a way that they understand.
Okay, so there's different ways to teach?
Yeah, like learning styles and applying them to certain students.
Good. What else? Do you have a question? You just stretch it. What else? Anything else that you think that teachers need to talk about? Special ed teachers with regular ed teachers?
There's accommodations, I mean.
Yeah. Accommodations are a big one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like accommodations that actually help the student and not help their goal, you know.
Good. Thank you. How is communication in our school? Do you think the special education teachers talk with the general ed teachers a lot, or no?
I think they try to, but
It's,
they don't.
yeah, it's more the other way around. The general education teachers really don't talk to the special ed teachers.
So they don't want to find out
Right,
anything?
it's not a problem with special education, it's just, they don't really find out.
Okay, so they don't take the effort to go and talk to them.
Right.
Good.
Form of communication.
Do you think that your teachers, like general education teachers, have good attitudes towards you? Do they understand how to teach you, or do they have no idea and they need more education, or what do
My
you think?
teachers do.
Yeah, for the
Teachers do.
most part, I think they're doing
They're doing
the
their
best
job.
job that they can
Good.
in a way that they understand it. Of course, there's a little bit of a gray area, but
There's always going to be
Mr.
there.
Marks always helps me whenever I need extra time or anything.
Yeah, so he approves of that?
Yeah.
Good. Anybody else? No? Then I'm all done. Thank you.